let's continue here with the story that I want to talk to you about. Let's get to that story. Vamos a ver. Está aquí. A friend of mine, good friend of mine, love the guy. We go back and forth. He is a conservative, but he so far believes that Americans, or rather that liberals are crazy. He honestly believes liberals are crazy. He believes that liberals are burning things down. He believes all these things. Do I hate him for believing that? No. If you take a look at Fox News, if you take a look at Trump's new AON station, if you take a look at the other one that what is that station? There's this other one called Para Ver. Actually, they're becoming pretty big these days. I'm going to try to go up there and see what it is, because I know some of their links somehow appear on my site as well. But anyhow, there's a Newsmax. Newsmax. If you take a look at Newsmax and all these others, these guys have they have an effective misinformation machine. And to the people on the right who would say, why is that misinformation, and what CNN is saying is not misinformation? Everything that you have from CNN, yes, it's Newsmax, is corroborated and is repeatable. You know, in science, something is scientifically proven if it's observable and if it's repeatable. And the things that we say on CNN and even on MSNBC, while it always has while on MSNBC it has a substantially progressive bias, it is observable and it's reproducible. What is not observable is for somebody to tell me that there are riots and riots and liberals are burning down the cities, and you go to every city that is supposed to be being burnt down, and the cities are still there, and there are no fires, and businesses are still there, and they're being shown old tapes. Anyhow, this friend of mine sent me this thing. He said, so I said, a friend sent me the following post, and I want to read the post for you. I'm going to do it really quickly so I can start getting to some answers. If you are fearful that the new generation of voters don't get it, read the article written by Alice Algren. I think her analysis of why they think the way they do is exactly correct. And here's what it says. I am sitting in a small coffee shop near Nokomis trying to think of what to write about. This is what she's saying. I scrolled through my newsfeed on my phone, looking at the latest headlines of Democratic candidates calling for policies to fix the so-called injustices of capitalism. I put my phone down and continue to look around. I see people talking freely, working on their MacBooks, ordering food. They get an instant seeing cars go by outside, and it's dawned on me. We live in the most privileged time in the most prosperous nation, and we've become completely blind to it. Vehicles, food, technology, freedom to associate with whom we choose. These things are so ingrained in our American way of life. We don't give it a second thought. We are so well off here in the United States that our poverty that begins is 31 times above the global average. 31 times. Virtually no one in the United States is considered poor by global standards. Yet, in times where we can order a product off Amazon with one click and have it to our doorstep, the next day we are unappreciative, unsatisfied, and ungrateful. Our unappreciation is evident as the popularity of socialist policies among my generation continues to grow. Democratic Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez recently said to Newsweek, talking about the millennial generation, an entire generation which is now becoming one of the largest electorates in the America, came of age and never saw American prosperity. Never saw American prosperity? Let that sink in. But let me stop first there. I want to stop there because here's the thing. No, the millennials have never seen prosperity. No, they have not. They are in debt. They didn't get the GI Bill. All the good socialist programs that Americans, the baby boomers got. They didn't. But here is what I find most unempathetic with this young woman. She says, I am sitting at the coffee shop watching cars outside parking and also watching people on their MacBooks, and if they want to order something from Amazon, they do. She's right. But look at that insular area she's looking at. had she been to Appalachia, and the reason I'm starting at Appalachia is I don't even want to bring in the thing about people of color yet. Let's just go to Appalachia. Has she been to Appalachia? Has she seen the misery? My daughter, who is a med student and right now is doing, right now she's having those issues with the stroke, as I always told you, but she drove around Appalachia because she was working for a healthcare firm that was trying to get doctors to do better. She was shocked. She had never seen the poverty that she saw in Appalachia, in Ohio, in West Virginia. She did the whole circle. My daughter called me in shock. She had never seen poverty like that. And she has been into the ghettos in Houston. And she had never seen that. Now, do you think what this woman is talking about, the millions of people that live in Appalachia, in Ohio, in Alabama, in all these areas, do you think that is their reality, what she's talking about? It is not. And now, remember who we're talking about now. We're not talking about the people of color yet. That's not their reality. Do you think the people now in the barrios, do you think that is their reality? No, they're not sitting down drinking a cup of coffee at a coffee shop. That's not their reality. But that is her reality, and it is fine. It is fine to be appreciative of that. What is not fine is not to understand the unempathy of you thinking that your lifestyle is what everybody else lives. Go to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez district and see how those people live. See how many of them have internet. See how many of them are living on a wage they can survive on, other than in some sort of a rent-controlled building that they're still way behind on. And let's talk about the new generation. The new generation, so many of them are having to live back home. That didn't happen by accident. That happened as the baby boomers reduced taxes and made sure that the kids who went to college didn't get the beneficial treatment they got, so they had to borrow money. So now they're paying at both ends. They have to pay the interest for the loans at the same time that they had to pay to go to school themselves to support corporations who paid less taxes. So these corporations are taking money at both ends. We pay to educate ourselves so the corporations could use our education, and then the corporations then charge us the interest for the education we got. But people, this isn't expressed in that way for people to understand, right? People don't get it that way. They just get, I want to get ahead, so I get me a student loan and I go to school. And I am doing fine. I'm at my coffee shop drinking my cappuccino. But for those who don't have the wherewithal, right? For those who continue to work for the corporate structure, who they paid to be educated so the corporate structure could use them. Folks, we have to understand this. So that is what this young woman did not understand. This young woman is not a bad person, but that is what she was taught. When she watched Fox News, that's what she was taught. She was taught how to be hateful and selfish. She was taught not to look through the eyes of others. When I speak, and again, I did very well in America. I came from Panama. I did very well. I've downgraded myself by orders of magnitude because my morality did not allow me to keep doing what I was doing. It's so important. I have a daughter. And when I see what we have been doing to them, when I see what the plutocracy, when I see what we have allowed the plutocracy to allow the baby boomers by cutting taxes, by being so selfish to do to our millennials and the other generations, that is what drives me. Because it is not sustainable. And it's not only that it's not sustainable, but it actually causes pain. It actually causes pain. So, continuing. Never saw American prosperity. Let that sink in. When I first read that statement, I thought to myself, that was quite literally the most enlightened and factually literate thing I've ever heard my 26th year on the earth. Now, I'm not attributing Ms. Ocasio-Cortez words to outright dishonesty. I do think she wholeheartedly believes the words she said to be true. Many young people agree with her, which is entirely misguided. My generation is being indoctrinated by a mainstream narrative to actually believe we have never been we have never seen prosperity. I know this firsthand. I went to college. Let's just say I didn't have the popular opinion, but I digress. You think? You think? You think? Let me lay down some universal truths really quick. This is from her continuing. The United States of America has lifted more people out of abject poverty. Yeah. And we also have to remember the United States of America was one of the biggest recipients of free labor. Spread more freedom and democracy and has created more innovation in technology and medicine than any other nation in human history. Oh, that's true. But guess how that happened? That happened because America is able to import the best of the best from all over the world. Let's look at where all the inventions came from. Look at the people who have created and invented and see where they came from. Hell, even the cotton gin, the real person who invented it never got credit for it. The list goes on. However, those universal truths don't matter. We are all told income inequality is an existential crisis. Even though this is not an indicator of prosperity, some of the poorest countries in the world have low income inequality. We are told that we are oppressed by capitalism, even though it's brought about more freedom and wealth to most people than true prosperity through socialism and centralization have ever had. Lie. Lie. Capitalism has nothing to do with democracy. China is the largest capitalist country in the world. China is the largest capitalist country in the world. Don't ever let somebody lie to you that way. Capitalism and democracy has nothing to do with each other. Nothing to do with each other. Why then, with all the overwhelming evidence around us that I can even see sitting at a coffee shop, do we not view this as prosperity? We have people who are dying to get into our country. People around the world. Okay, let's talk about people dying to get into this country. Again, the naivete of so many people drives me crazy, but I understand it's because of our lacking in our educational system here. America goes around the world and pilfers the world. They go to Jamaica, they get the bauxite. They go to all the Central American countries and they get all the produce on the cheap. They go to oil exporting countries and they bring the raw material and sell it back with added value. So it's a negative flow. If you have a negative flow into an economy where the people you support are dictators anyway, that means you have a lot of people that are hurting. And when people hurt, they migrate to find somewhere where they can do better. And that is America. Okay? That is America. So please, people, don't just say things off the cuff. You have to look at things a bit deeper. You have to be more introspective and you have to understand how the world really works. All right, I'm gonna leave the rest of the thing because it's all the same kind of crap that the young lady talks about. We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead, number one, subscribe to our channel, and number two, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.